We're getting in further breaking inputs, details regarding the airstrike here. Government sources informing us, revealing here that a total of 6 bombs were dropped in the Pakistan-based terror camps there by the Indian Air Force. This, of course, located in Balakot, which is in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region. These are breaking inputs and more information gradually here that is trickling in on more details of the kind of airstrike here that has taken place. A total of 6 bombs dropped by the IF jets here during that operation. Our defense expert with us this evening, Mr. Qamar Agha, responding there to that and how this is playing out here in the Indian subcontinent here with our international partners looking on here as well. Mr. Qamar Agha, one that we have called this a preemptive strike, which is an absolute right of a nation to be doing that. Second, we have also made it very clear that despite this being a massive strike in a complete annihilation, it has been not on any civilian, not on the Pakistan army, but on the terror camps.
Yeah, it was a very well planned, preventive strikes. They have selected these targets. They were working, right from for the last almost a couple of weeks and identified these places. They have all the information about the camps in advance, and they raided. They saw to it, no military target should be no military base should be targeted, as well as and the civilian casualties should not take place. So I think as one of the finest operation conducted by the Air Force personnel, that must be, and the timing is very important, because timing in the sense now Organization of Islamic Conference Organization will take place on 1st March, where Sushma Swaraj would be going, and she was, for the first time after 50 years, India was invited in this conference, and it decides
That's
this.
right, but Mr. Agha, there was that issue, that very invite to Sushma Swaraj there was today raised in Pakistan Parliament. So not sure if that schedule still stands.
Yeah, they have raised. No, because the Saudi Arabia, UAE, and number of others, Pakistan's allies, traditional allies, they want India to participate in that. Because the situation has changed in the last 10 years or ever since India has introduced liberal economic setup. Now Saudi Arabia see India as a major market for their product. More than 20% oil supplies, our oil supplies comes from Saudi Arabia, and 2.7 million Indians are working in Saudi Arabia. They are involved in the developmental activities. So they see India as a success story, and they see they are diversifying their economy to other sources like investment in India, China, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, South Korea. They have a now called Look East policy. So India has become very important to them, and besides this, they would like no major confrontation takes place. Their policy would be to tell Pakistan not to retaliate, and they would not bankroll money or bankroll money to them, because as earlier they used to do it. Things have changed, So many countries in the Organization of Islamic Conference Organization, they believe that India should have should be invited, because we have much more Muslims living in this country than the Pakistan or any other. The second biggest.
But Mr. Qamar Agha, we've of course been hoping for a far more international isolation of Pakistan, particularly coming in from the Gulf, the Islamic countries in the Middle East, but we didn't see that in as much measure. In fact, India was left largely disappointed despite certain statements of condemnation, and in the wake of that we had Saudi Arabia announcing the biggest almost bailout package there to Pakistan. But keeping all of that aside, if we further look into strategical results here that should be expected on ground now with this strike, Are we going to be looking at a major pull down in insurgency and terror attacks across the LOC here on our soil from non-state or whatever they may want to call it, state-sponsored, non-state-sponsored terrorism that continues to come in from across the border?
No, our policy is basically directed towards Pakistan at the moment. The Pakistani military establishment policy is that this proxy war, which is initiated by Pakistan, is not
a request to please stay on with us. Apologize for that interruption because we're getting in breaking inputs here following what has just been announced by the Punjab Chief Minister, Captain Amrinder Singh. Now here's a measure that he's taken soon after these airstrikes. He's put the border districts of his state of Punjab on high alert. Also planned a visit now to the border areas tomorrow itself, along with the police team. This is of those districts closer to the border to review the security situation. So this is, of course, keeping in mind in full preparedness as far as whether or not a retaliation could take place, but it is at the end of the day India's preparedness here on ground. The first move that is coming from the state government, and this is in Punjab, in reviewing the border security. Borders have been put on high alert. This is going to be reviewed personally by the Chief Minister along with his police team tomorrow itself. Chief Minister speaking with the Union Home Minister here as well with the situation on ground. Mr. Qamar Agha, this very clearly indicates India's continued preparedness now on ground following this strike.
Yeah, of course, we must have taken all the precautions before resorting to these strikes because we were expecting Pakistan would retaliate. This must be the notion. Starting point, for entering into Pakistan. They have limited options because if they go for any major confrontation, that is not in their favor. Secondly, the small actions possible, like resuming bombing at the ceasefire, or possible, some action at the Kashmir border or Punjab border. These two borders are very sensitive, they'll try here possibly. And they also have sleeper cells running in this country in different parts, they might activate those sleeper cells and plan, some big strikes in other cities, not only in Jammu and Kashmir but other part of the country. So let's wait and see, how they behave, because so far they have only talked about it, and their economic situation is not permitting them to go for any major confrontation because that is at the verge of bankruptcy. Besides this, they are not hoping to get big bank rolls from either from Saudi Arabia or UAE or China. China also is not in a position to support the all-out war against India, because they know very well, because India's retaliation would be very strong.
So an absolute direct retaliation from Pakistan should not be our concern. But on a far worrisome note, of course, our eye should be on those sleeper cells which are based here in India that could get active. Mr. Qamar Agha, appreciate that insight here while speaking to us here on Mirror Now. On that note, it is a wrap on the show, but news and updates. Our focus continues following this airstrike that took place about 3:45 a.m. this morning. Stay with us.